Hey, Phil Graham here, founder of Authority Network, the world's largest fitness business mastermind. Welcome to my channel where I talk about all things marketing, sales, delivery, team, leadership, and most importantly, how to avoid making silly mistakes that cost a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of energy as an entrepreneur. Now, if you are a coach, a consultant, a fitness professional, a business owner that is interested in scaling their business to 7 figures and beyond, please click subscribe below and you'll get instant notifications of every video that I put out. I'm sharing my lessons and insights on all of those areas: marketing, sales, systems, delivery, operations, and mindset every single week so that you can plug them into your business, gain my insights, and learn from my mistakes. So today I want to talk about a big error that I see in the thinking of a lot of entrepreneurs. And this is entrepreneurs at the very start, right the whole way through to entrepreneurs that are continuing to scale and continuing to grow. And it's the endless striving for more that comes from ultimately a place of lack and a place of fear. Don't get me wrong, fear and feeling not good enough and inferior are certainly great drivers for success. But when you actually achieve the outcomes that you originally set out to achieve, i.e. hitting your first million, hitting your first 6 figures, whatever it may be, once you reach that outcome, life can get pretty empty and you quite often don't know what to do with yourself if you haven't taken the time to reflect on your goals, reset your optics, and learn to move forward with a different direction and a different sense of being and purpose behind your growth and your purpose. You see, one of the biggest challenges that I see with this whole entrepreneur crush it thing is that many entrepreneurs try to crush it in life and business by just doing more and more and more. And what they end up doing is they end up crushing themselves. And I want to talk about some of the big problems that come with constantly pushing yourself and striving for more, especially coming from a place of feeling not good enough or lack. And I want to reframe that mindset and help you think better and clearer about your goals. So this is applicable to any entrepreneur at any level. And of course, if it's relatable to you, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. This is just my 2 cents and my experience, and also the experience I've had of helping. I've lost count the amount of entrepreneurs in the fitness space hit 6 figures and beyond with their business. I see it all the time. And I don't think there's any more individuals or entrepreneurs out there that are more ambitious in the fitness side of things, where they've got the discipline of training and eating and nutrition, pushing weights, dealing with pressure on a day-to-day basis, and helping clients push through those boundaries. It is a really specialist niche that is very dedicated and very disciplined, pretty much like a professional athlete. So let's talk about the problem that comes with constantly striving for more. 1, you set goals that are inauthentic. You set goals to impress other people. 2, you live above your means and you end up spending money to impress other people with your status and your wealth and your fame. I've seen everything from entrepreneurs financing cars that they can't afford, paying for likes, paying for a blue tick, all just to appear a certain status. I've seen it all. Another big problem that I see is entrepreneurs wasting money once they start making it. They're unclear as to what they want to spend things on. They're maybe a little bit burnt out and tired from pursuing their goals, and they just want things to stimulate them. You know, sometimes wealth can be amazing, but at other times it can make you overconfident and gullible. And the reality is with that comes mistakes. There's a big difference between becoming wealthy and staying wealthy. It requires different skill sets. And I want to share with you 3 things that I really feel have helped me, allow me to make wealth and allow me to also keep my wealth and also do the same for my clients. The first thing is getting clear on why are so many people unhappy with their growth, with their success. One of the biggest challenges that I see with many entrepreneurs nowadays is the constant theme of crush it, when the reality is it's actually a paradox. If you start chasing more money, more clients, bigger impact, bigger status, and getting up at 5 a.m. and just crushing, you got to realize that 9 times out of 10, it's unsustainable. And you end up actually crushing yourself. You end up crushing your team. And the stats don't lie. Most businesses do not last beyond 3 to 5 years. And there's a very high chance that if you're watching this now, that the very business that you have may not be in operation in 5 years, and you will be doing something else. And a lot of this comes from people running out of future, running out of vision, running out of focus, getting bored, not knowing what to do next. And also as well, being pressurized into certain actions and behaviors from their environment and their expectations that forces them to build a business that they end up hating. So I want to share with you how you can become super successful make a lot of money, help a lot of people, build a great business, but also have fun, happiness, and freedom inside your own mind. And that is the most important thing, because the conversation that goes on in here is the most important conversation that you will ever have. And you're with yourself 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, every second of the day. You talk to yourself the most. So it's really important that that internal dialogue and system is solid in order for you to actually really enjoy this whole process. Because, you know, if I ask you right now, if you look at this whole business thing, getting clients, pushing yourself, growing, what are you doing it for? Might be money as the main focus, but beyond that, why are you doing that? Is that because you like fear you're going to go broke? Is it from a place of lack? Is it from a place of just not feeling good enough? And don't get me wrong, that can be a great driver, but long game, it's like a poison. It's like a toxic poison that will eat you away. You want to be able to still achieve greatness, but you want to be super content with it to the point where you can take it or leave it. And I think that that is a really powerful place to reach as an entrepreneur, where you know that you're wealthy in not just bank account, but soul and identity. And you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. And then you can stand in a room, know who you are. You don't have to worry about how many followers you have or how much money's in your bank account or what car you're in. You're just comfortable in your own skin. And I want to share a couple of principles that have really helped me achieve comfort in my own skin. Don't get me wrong, there's sometimes where I'm outside my comfort zone, but these frameworks always help me rein it back in. And as an entrepreneur, you have to take that time out to think every single day, to reset your expectations, reset your vision, your focus, make sure you're aligned, make sure you're happy. Because at the end of the day, you can accumulate all the wealth in the world that you want. You can accumulate all the fame that you want. And we all know of people who are really wealthy that are very unhappy. We know of people that are very famous that are very unhappy and end up leaving this planet in a way that they shouldn't have. So I want to share 3 things that have really, really helped me. Number 1 is, first of all, reframing expectations. And I think it's important when it comes to wealth and status that you got to look at the difference between what you have and what you actually need. And that's very important with wealth, because on social media, it's so easy to create the false expectation that you're wealthy. People buy cars on finance, they buy big houses on finance, they wear designer clothes, which you can now rent and you can also get on finance. And they also buy watches, which are also on finance. And they position themselves strategically in environments where they look busy or they look successful. If you've ever been with somebody that's an Insta-fluencer or whatever you want to call them, you will see how much detail is put into the creation of the image that they're putting out. They are obsessed with the image. And you've got to realize, beyond just the norm of, hey, like I want a good shot of me, they're trying to create a perception. And because social media is so rife nowadays, and we have so much of it 24 hours a day, and phones that we can access it from the minute that we wake up to the minute that we go to bed, and in between, people's expectations are through the roof of lifestyle, environment, success, and everything. And people lie. And the reality is, when you're comparing yourself constantly to elevated expectations and the highlight reel, which you've probably heard of, your expectations get warped and you constantly want more and more and more and more and more, sometimes subconsciously, to fit in or to appear more dominant. And the reality is, when you're approaching life and business from that kind of mind frame, it's not really for you. You're actually spending money and putting yourself at risk to impress somebody else, to make yourself feel better. And that is always a bad idea. It's inauthentic. You build that fear, that jealousy, that envy, that status, that insecurity into the actions that ultimately are going to fuel your life. And quite often that can result in negative outcomes. Don't get me wrong, the odd time, having a breakdown in your business or being humiliated can be one of the best things for you. But if you're constantly approaching your whole life from the concept of, I want to be better than him, I want to be more successful, I want to have more money than them, what about you? What about you as the individual that's inside your own head? Why do you want to be at battle with yourself all the time? We're here for a very short period of time, and it's very important that you're enjoying that period. It's really important to realize that you control your expectations, and your expectations need to be set based on what you have and what you ultimately need. So getting very, very clear on what you want your life to be, as in what you want to do every single day, what kind of holidays you want to go on, what kind of things you want to travel in, your clothes you want to wear. Get clear on your lifestyle. Look at what you have, look at what you need, look at the gap, but realize that a lot of the gap that is there is overinflated because of the expectations that are created on social media. So it's important to be able to rein that in, because every single time that you look, and if you think about somebody that you really, really like on social media that you know personally that has a decent lifestyle and you know them, ask yourself, would you trade places with that person in order to have that lifestyle? 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be a no, because they've typically got something else going on in their life that you don't want to have. And if you want their wealth, if you want their status or their perceived status or wealth, you're going to have to trade everything with the problems that they have in their life as well. That's always going to be a no, right? You control your expectations, and it's really important to make sure that they grow slowly as you evolve, okay? They grow slowly. That's a thing that's a really important point to consider. One of the dangers that we see inside our program sometimes is we help a lot of clients create wealth very quickly. We have clients that come in, earning 2 to 3K a month, and they suddenly go to 25K, 30K over, like literally within a month. And it can create the expectation that every month is going to be like that, when the reality is they actually need to stabilize it and let that expectation grow slowly in order to develop the emotional intelligence, the awareness, and the conviction around that money that they make. You see this example in millionaires that have won the lottery. They're quite likely to lose the money very quickly because they just don't have the emotional intelligence to handle the wealth. Simple as. The next thing you need to be aware of is this is a single person game. You may have a family, you may have friends, you may have a team, but the reality is you have a conversation with yourself 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So instead of focusing on getting shit done all the time because you want to appear successful, appear famous, appear credible, whatever it may be, focus on an internal state of happiness over getting shit done. When I look at a lot of entrepreneurs that get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and they post it on their Instagram, a lot of people do this to simply let the world know that they're busy and that they're going after life. And they've forgotten about themselves in that process. And I think that that's where a lot of confusion comes, is that people really approach their whole life and document it in a way that they want everybody to know what they're at and how hard they're working. And they want patted on the back for that. There's nothing wrong with documenting your life, by the way. I technically do it myself. But at the same time, when you're coming from the mindset of, I want everyone to know that I'm super successful and I'm hustle, hustle, hustle. Why? Don't get me wrong, it's going to inspire some people, but again, it's going to inspire them in the same way that you're doing it, from a place of lack or not feeling good enough. So you've got to realize that instead of focusing on getting shit done all the time, focus on building your own happiness. What makes you happy? What doesn't make you happy? Evaluate your stuff every now and again. Why am I doing this? Is thinking like this helping me achieve my long-term goal of being happy? You got to ask that question all the time. And I think it's a really important one to bring up when you do go into moments where, you're spending money or you're trying to appear a certain way. Is thinking like this or is doing like this going to help me with my long-term goal? Because ultimately this is a single person game and you're responsible for your own happiness, nobody else. Last but not least, long game. You have to fall in love with the long game. We've all heard the decision, short-term pleasure, long-term pain. Long-term pleasure, short-term pain. And that holds true for a lot of things in life and a lot of things in business. And one thing you've got to realize is your identity, your wealth is built slowly. It's a matter of little actions, little reflections over the days, over the weeks, over the years, in terms of, am I becoming a better person? Am I impacting people? Am I really doing something that I want? What do I not like doing in this business? How can I delegate it off? How can I pass it to somebody else? And literally cleaning the road as you walk through it, taking the odd step back with 2 steps forward. That's looking back, reflecting on what you've done and going, right, I would have done that different. Now I've got that wisdom and I move forward. Because what you need to realize is, when I talk about this long game, if you look at where you are now and where you want to be in that whole timeline, when you get to where you want to be, I can guarantee you will not be super happy, right? I have been at rock bottom and I have made multiple 7 figures. I have been at the point of making 7 figures and being unhappy. Whenever you start dining in extra restaurants, buying special cars, buying wealthy fashion accessories, clothes, whatever it may be, watches, blah, 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 they lose their luster after a while once you normalize it, and you're still left with yourself, that single person game of conversation inside your own head. And what you need to realize is that true success, especially for me, and this is my 2 cents in this, is not necessarily hitting the 7 figures or buying this or buying the house or buying that. It's at that point when I get to that end point, I reflect on that journey. Well, what did I push myself through? What did I get through? What new friends did I make? Who did I get rid of in my life? What have I acquired? What do I know now that I didn't know before? How is this going to help me moving forward? That is success. And that is what builds identity. And you must fall in love with that gap in between that journey. And then whenever you get to that end goal, that question of now what is really important to sort of coordinate where you go after that. And if you're looking at the point of success that you reach and you're reflecting back and going, what went well, what didn't go well, how did I evolve, what character traits did I display well, where could I have done better? You then are able to move forward with the now what with a lot more precision, a lot more accuracy, and a lot more wisdom. So I suppose the ultimate point of this video is for you to be very aware of your expectations that you set, how you set them, looking at social media through a filtered, objective lens, and realizing that, hey, if somebody's setting this kind of goal, that kind of goal, or showing that off, what are they not showing? And would I trade places with them for just that? I'm going to take on a ton of extra baggage. It's realizing that you're focusing more on a healthy state of being rather than getting shit done. Because at the end of the day, what me and you do in 1,000, 10,000 years is going to be completely meaningless. And it's really dawned on me recently that I really want to enjoy my time here. I really want to enjoy the money that I've made, and I want to enjoy time. And don't get me wrong, sometimes in areas of your life, you have to work really, really hard in order to achieve balance and freedom later. And sometimes it has to be out of balance. And entrepreneurs are renowned for being slightly out of balance. But don't get me wrong, you need to focus on reframing expectations. You need to focus on the single person game and internal happiness, not just getting shit done, and falling in love with long game and the identity that you build across the timeline between where you are now and where you want to go and who you evolve and become at that end point. And then that question of now what, and moving forward with the insight and the wisdom that you've acquired in that goal accomplishment, or sometimes even failure where you haven't reached it, but you still got wisdom. So anyway, my expectations on how you can stop needlessly striving for more and be happier. Hope that was useful. If it was, drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway. Let me know what it was like. Feel free to drop me a message on Instagram. This is a channel that I'm trying to grow. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube already, please click the subscribe button. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, until the next time, take care.